need
You know
is the
me,
power of
I
friendship.
don't settle so much as stop moving on for a while. So, I like any place with a warm bed and decent food, but now that I think about it, there's something different about this place. I mean, besides weird shit like floating crystals and girls that shoot light out of their hands. The people here are... they're good. They help each other. I think most of them like each other. I ain't seen that in a long time. Maybe ever. I don't know if you've met them all yet, but do, eh? They're good folk. And I can tell you who does what if you want. I've been around here long enough for that, at least. You'll want to talk to Reggie. He's got all kinds of cures and tonics. A fix to what ails you, he says. And while you're over there, see if you can figure out what's going on with that old mudtooth. He's got some crazy stories, but I can't tell if any of them are true. His stew's pretty good too, once you get used to the smell. It'll keep you on your feet for days. Have you met Dwell yet? Not a human one, that's for sure. He calls himself a Pan from some place called Yeisha. I tell you what, I don't understand half of what he's talking about. But the crystals he sells are like nothing I've ever seen. Might be just what you're looking for. I don't know. Why? You ready to move on or something? Oh, I get it. You just want to know if I've gone soft for this place, huh? I admit, I'm starting to take a shine to it. This is the first place in a long while that's felt anything like home. I mean, you know me. Comfort makes me skittish, but I don't know. It feels like it'd be hard to get too comfortable in a place with glowing portals and talking goats. Anyway, I just want to stick around and see what happens next, at least for now. We'll see. All right. Sure. What you got? Have you met Dwell yet? That's the one. Though, I don't know that he'd appreciate being called a guy. He calls himself a Pan from some place called Yeisha. I tell you what, I don't understand half of what he's talking about. But the crystals he sells are like nothing I've ever seen. Might be just what you're looking for.
How unexpected. Nerud spent eons searching for life, yet now of all times you come to Nerud on your own. I have much I wish to know, but there is a more pressing task at hand. I need your help. I am the custodian, placed by the Drazir to manage and care for Nerud. One task yet remains to me, but an obstacle stands in my way. I believe you may be the solution to this obstacle. The obstacle is known as Talratha. He possesses knowledge that I require in order to save Nerud and what remains of the Drazir. Against all reason, he opposes what I am trying to do. I cannot act without him, but I must act. I need you to find him, extract his echo, and return it to me. I see the intent behind your question, and I'm afraid your intuition is correct. You will have to dispose of Talratha. There is no other way. He has chosen his life above all others, forcing me to make a difficult decision. Unfortunately, I cannot reach him. Only you can. Perhaps, but extreme measures are all that remain. I have spent centuries pursuing another recourse. This is the only path I have left. Talratha keeps himself locked within his chamber. The only thing he has is his ambit ember. It is what keeps him alive. This, then, will aid you. It is poisoned. Not strong enough to finish the task, but it should weaken him enough to make it easier. He only needs to consume it. I will answer as best I can. You are the first and only of your kind I have encountered. If there are others like you, I have no knowledge of them. This is Nerud, the home and stellar conveyance of the once great Drazir. It was created to find other life in the universe. Unfortunately, it found none. Until you came, of course. Our journey brought us here, to Alepsis Tora. The Drazir studied the phenomenon for many, many years. Within it, they found the secrets of creation itself. Naturally, the Drazir wished to enter the phenomenon, to meet their creator, as it were. Sadly, that turned out to be more dangerous than was calculated. That is a tragic story, I am afraid. But I will oblige. The Drazir wanted to enter Alepsis Tora. It was the only way that remained for them to acquire the knowledge they needed. They did not do so blindly. They knew the risks, but all calculations showed success as a strong likelihood. What actually happened to the Drazir was unexpected. Before Nerud entered, the stars still burned. But time moved slowly within Alepsis Tora. Only a century passed for Nerud. Outside, the universe died its long, slow death. Survival was the statistically likely outcome for all. What happened to the Drazir was an anomaly. A few made shelter in a chamber of Talrotha's design. He did not agree with the decision to enter Alepsis Tora, and so he made preparations against it. That proved prudent. I do not know what happened to the others that were with him. I can only assume they are dead. Talrotha alone remains, against all odds to the contrary. To navigate the ship, I already have access to Nerud's core, but I need the proper information in order to jump the ship safely to its destination. If I jump into Alepsis Tora without the proper navigational data, Nerud will certainly perish. If I do not jump, Nerud will ultimately perish anyway. There is only one plausible solution. It is a supermassive black hole unlike anything else we have encountered. It may seem counterintuitive, but my calculations are without error. This is the only logical course of action, and the only way to save the Drazir. There is no need for worry. Nerud has entered Alepsis Tora once before and survived. It is the Drazir that needs saving. Put simply, yes, but it is quite a bit more complicated than that. I cannot save the Drazir without Talrotha's aid, but he will not help me. Talrotha is what is known as an astropath. They have been trained to perceive the stellar currents, allowing them to chart impossibly complex paths extemporaneously. Even the most powerful machine cannot perform the calculations necessary. It is much more than information I need. It is Talrotha's very essence. Information I need. It is Talrotha's very essence. There is no other possibility. If the Drazir can be saved, it is within Alepsis Tora. You and I are all that exists out here. Everything else must exist in there. Seek out Talrotha. Bring me his echo.
come this way?
Pretty sure that thing would be dead, if she did.
Yeah! You don't need any help. You're better at this than I ever was.
So many new faces these days. Things must be getting a mite easier out there. Welcome, traveler. I'm Reginald Malone, but my friends call me Reggie. You can too. Heard the old founder dragged you down into the ward on some mysterious business of his. I'm glad to see one of you came back safe and sound. Can't say the same for Ford. Clementine neither. Wish she hadn't gone and followed you. I don't suppose you know where they are now. You mean the one they hauled into the center of town there? That thing hadn't been active for over a decade. They could be anywhere. Well, I hope you don't give up on him. Ford now. I suspect he'll come back when he's good and ready. But folks are worried about Clementine. I have been known to tell a story or two. Though old Mudtooth does give me a run for my money. Or did you mean that I collect the stories? Because I do that too. And I'd love to hear your tale, traveler. Oh, now that sounds like the start of a damn good story. What brought you out here? Damn. It's a common enough tale. But I hope you know I'm genuinely sorry for your loss. Everyone here can identify. But I know that don't necessarily make it easier. All we can do is shelter the joy wherever we find it, every day. How about your friend? How'd you meet her? You're damn lucky, friend. Not many have family left. Oh, I heard you. I know she's not your real family. But hell if that matters anymore. Hell if it ever mattered. You hang on to it, hear me? Ain't nothing in the world worth fighting for more than folks you care about. Speaking of your friend, I heard she came in with a nasty case of root rot. What happened to you two out there? Yeah, I can understand that. Ain't easy talking about hard times. Yeah, don't push if she ain't ready, yeah? But, don't forget about it either. Could be that telling you what happened is the only thing that can set her free. Well, don't you worry. We've dealt with nastier things here, believe me. I reckon she'll come through just fine. What about you? What do you hope to find out here? You're a good friend, traveler. I hope you stick around. This town could use folks like you. So, now I've got a measure of you. Is there anything I can do for you? What do you hope to find out here? You're a good friend, traveler. I hope you stick around. This town could use folks like you. So, now I've got a measure of you. Is there anything I can do for you? Oh, yeah? What kind of questions? Old as teeth, friend. Old as teeth. Everything we know comes from Founder Ford. That title don't come from nowhere. He was there at the start. When the world ended, about 120 years ago, give or take a decade, Ford and some survivors took shelter in old Ward 13 over there. I don't know how many wards there were, but they were all part of something called the Dreamer Project that went bad. Real bad. There are rumors. Some say he made a deal with the Root, and that's why he's so hell-bent on stopping him. Some say he was experimented on in the Dreamer Project. Some say he found some kind of magic out there in the years when he was traveling the worlds. Truth is, nobody knows. Maybe not even Ford himself. Personally, I think Ford's just tough as dirt and refuses to die. Ford and Clementine are the only ones what really know. They don't like to talk about it, but But old Reggie's got a gift for collecting stories, and I've gleaned a few things. At the wards, see, they connected people to machines that made them dream about other worlds. But these worlds were real, and the dreamers were seeing through the eyes of someone that lived there. Yeah, sounds like a bridge too far, don't it? It did for me, too. At least the story's pretty long, friend. Let me know if you get tired of the telling. After the world fell, see, Founder Ford carried the whole burden of what happened on his shoulders. Tell the truth, I don't think he ever put that burden down. But let's see, where were we? Ah, yes. Founder Ford carried a heavy burden in those earlier days. Probably still does. But what could he do? At first, nothing. He pressed on with the work of helping others survive. If you ask me, that was the best thing he could have done. It never should have stopped. Maybe he wouldn't have if Evelyn hadn't. See, Evelyn was his wife, and she was something special. She could, hear the root, see what they saw. At first, she thought she was going insane. But then she started using it. She saw a monster, something the ward, the whole city couldn't handle. And only one way out. She communed with the root, I guess you'd call it. Melded her mind to theirs and drove the monster off. But the root swallowed her, body and mind, until there was nothing left of Evelyn Ford. Her husband lost it then. He left the ward for months, sometimes years at a time, wandering the worlds trying to find something, anything that could stop the root. And one day, he just didn't come back. Well, now my story's not through yet. The Fords, they had a daughter, Nadine. She was maybe 17 when her mother disappeared. Too young to run the ward, but when her pa was gone, folks would ask her their questions instead. Then one day, she was just in charge of everything. Nadine had her own daughter, Ellen, who really made us who we are today. Commander Ellen Ford inherited her mother's pragmatism, her grandfather's doggedness, and her grandmother's willingness to make hard choices. So whenever someone showed up, dehydrated, starving, half mad from loss, she took them in, taught them a trade in medicine and supplies, gave them a family. So you were paying attention. I owe a lot to Ellen Ford, and we all do. I miss her something fierce, let me tell you. She was one of the dreamers, if you can believe it. The only one still alive, as far as I can tell. She says she got sucked out somehow, dragged into her dream world before the root came to Earth. I don't understand it much. I reckon she don't either. But she found herself in a place called Riesel, a world covered in snow and inhabited by giant intelligent rats. Don't know how she survived, but I imagine it has to do with those powers of hers. Hey, that's the story I still haven't gotten out of her. Sure is. But power like that don't come without a cost. I can only imagine what it must take out of her to control a power like that. Oh, about 20-odd years ago, we had almost nothing left. Trapped in Ward 13 with nowhere to go and the root getting worse all around us. Then this stranger wanders in out of the storm, makes friends, picks up some gear, and damned if they don't take the fight to the root. I still don't know if that wanderer was crazy or brave or both, but they did it. They beat the root, and things got better day by day. But once it seemed safe to live outside again, Commander Ford made plans to build this town here. She was a force, that woman. Founder Ford came back once. Did I mention that? Almost 60 years ago, right after his daughter Ellen's mother passed away. Ellen couldn't have been more than 18 at the time. But she told him the war didn't need him. Didn't have room for some legend who was just as likely to leave as to lead. I reckon Founder Ford saw the wisdom of that, because a while later, he left again and didn't return for a long time. When he finally did, he wasn't leading us no more. He was content to leave the ward in better hands. Ellen's hands. Well, she fell sick some time ago. Most of us have lost folks without any chance to say goodbye. But we got that with Ellen. Why, she even made things right with her grandfather before the end, or so I hear. The two of them together put Bo in charge of the ward. No one was more surprised about that than Bo. But you know what? He's the right man for the job. Ain't no one loves the ward, loves these people more than the kid who was raised by him. He's gonna do all right. The Wanderer was on a mission from the start. Said something about getting to the tower on the old atoll out there. Sounded crazy the first time I heard it. But turns out, that tower was one of the old wards. The Wanderer's path wasn't easy, though. Our Wanderer had to track down Founder 4 just to find a way in. He's gonna do all right. The Wanderer was on a mission from the start. Said something about getting to the tower on the old atoll out there. Sounded crazy the first time I heard it. But turns out, that tower was one of the old wards. The Wanderer's path wasn't easy, though. Our Wanderer had to track down Founder 4 just to find a way in. And that meant following his trail. Just you wait. I'm getting to that. Well, Ford, it seemed, had gotten himself mixed up in another world's affairs, helping a rebellion out here. And he was imprisoned for it. Now, no one here knew that. But the Root Mother knew. And that's who our Wanderer left to see. The Root Mother's got a story all her own. And I don't know half of it. Before she was the Root Mother, she was Evelyn Ford. That's right. The Founder's wife. Bound herself to the root, she did. And it changed her. Turned her into something else. But when the Wanderer showed up, she pulled herself out. The Root Mother, or whatever she called herself after that, sent our Wanderer down a trail of sorrow, at the end of which was the Founder himself. The Wanderer freed him, and used his knowledge to get into the tower, and destroy the last Dreamer. Or what we thought was the last Dreamer anyway. It did weaken the Root for a time, but I guess that weren't the whole story. So, the Dreamer was dead, the storm subsided, but the Root, they were still around. Then Founder Ford tells us about the oldest ward, the first one, where the Dreamer project began. He hoped there might be some clue there as to why the Deadwood was still coming to our world. So our Wanderer goes a-hunting. They found more than even old Ford bargained for. You ain't wrong. The place was full of doors, and I'm not talking about the quiet humankind. One of these doors led to the world of Reesum, where the Wanderer found Clementine. Clementine opened a door what nobody else could have opened. And inside? I hate to admit it, but I don't know what they found inside. All I know is the Root stopped coming when the Wanderer and Clementine were through. They'd done it. Saved the whole damn world. Just making sense of things. Stories make us who we are. If we don't share them, don't learn from them, we're just bouncing around in the dark.
You don't happen to have any meat, do you?
God damn, it is you! The rumors had me thinking I might not ever see you again. They said you ran off with that old Ford fella and disappeared. I ain't seen you since. Where have you been? You mean that big-ass floating gym over there? Bo said it can take you other places, other worlds even. Before we got here, I'd have laughed in his face. But I've heard weirder stories than that. And I can see on your face, it ain't all make-believe, is it? Feels like anything can be true here. They even healed my root rot. I tell you what, I might just start believing in fairy tales. Even Santa Claus and Fulton's Blend. Yeah, I don't know what's in that stuff Doc Nora gave me, but I ain't felt this good for years. Hell, maybe it was Fulton's blend. Ah, you know me. I get anxious sitting still for too long. So, I went out to the ruins and scrounged anything useful I could find. I was just doing what I do to survive, you know. Maybe get some things together for when we moved on, but then you didn't come back. And Bo said folks around here could use this stuff, so I set up shop. So hey, if you ever need anything out there in the worlds or whatever, you just let me know. I got all kinds of stuff for trade. What do you want to ask me? You know me. I don't settle so much as stop moving on for a while. Though, I like any place with a warm bed and decent food, but now that I think about it, there's something different about this place. I mean, besides weird shit like floating crystals and girls that shoot light out of their hands. The people here are... they're good. They help each other. I think most of them like each other. I ain't seen that in a long time. Maybe ever. I don't know if you've met them all yet, but do, eh? They're good folk. And I can tell you who does what if you want. I've been around here long enough for that, at least.
Hello. We did it!